Today, we're diving into a story about a message that completely breaks the rules of time. It's about a connection that spans a decade and a single instant, and a love that, believe it or not, challenges the very fabric of reality. Let's get right into it.
No, really. Just think about that for a second. An unknown number pops up on your screen. Your first thought is probably spam, right? But the message says it's from 10 years from now. Do you just delete it? Write it off as a prank? Or does a part of you get curious and reply?
Well, for a man named Ethan, this wasn't just some weird hypothetical. For him, it was real. One totally normal night, a single text message buzzed on his phone that would absolutely shatter his reality and put him on a collision course with the laws of physics themselves.
I mean, can you imagine the confusion, the skepticism, 2036? It had to be a joke, right? But there was something about the way it was written, a kind of sincerity, maybe even desperation. And against his better judgment, Ethan was hooked. He didn't write back, not yet, but he didn't delete it either. And then Lily's messages started getting weirdly specific. We're not talking lottery numbers or anything huge, just tiny things. A stock dipping by a few cents, a local election won by a super slim margin, a random power outage on his block. And then his best friend, the guy who swore he'd never settle down, got engaged out of the blue. One by one, these little predictions came true, chipping away in his doubt until only one impossible conclusion was left. This was actually happening. And right then, everything changed. The predictions just stopped. And what began instead was a conversation. This wasn't about proving the impossible anymore. It was just about two people finding each other across a gap that shouldn't even exist.
You see, their entire relationship, their whole story, exists only in these text messages. It's a storytelling style called a modern epistolary. Think of those old novels told through letters, but updated for today with the speed and intimacy of texting. Every single message is a tiny piece of their lives, and when you put them all together, they tell this incredibly powerful story.
You know, this whole thing reminds me of a beautiful and kind of heartbreaking anime film called Voices of a Distant Star. It's about these two friends separated by deep space. One's on Earth and the other's a pilot traveling further and further away. And as she gets more distant, the time it takes for her texts to arrive grows from minutes to months and eventually to years. It's just this powerful story about love trying to survive an impossible time gap.
For Ethan and Lily, that separation was just as huge. For her, he was a window into a past that she missed terribly. And for him, she was a glimpse into a future that he couldn't even begin to imagine. So across this 10-year divide, with nothing but words on a screen, they built this incredible bond that started to feel more real than anything in their own worlds. But this beautiful, impossible connection they had was about to take a terrifying turn. One night, her message was late, and when it finally did come through, the tone was just different. The stakes weren't about curiosity anymore. They were about life and death. Let that sink in for a moment. The woman he had fallen for was going to die, and her tomorrow was his tomorrow. In an instant, that 10-year gap meant nothing. The mystery was over. Now, it was a desperate race against the clock. Okay, so to even wrap our heads around what Lily was asking for, we have to look at this wild concept from physics called retrocausality. It's a total mind-bender, but the basic idea is that under some very specific conditions, an effect can actually happen before its cause. A future event could theoretically influence the past, and Lily was literally betting her life on it.
But trying to change the past? Well, that's a minefield. This is the classic grandfather paradox. It's what's called a consistency paradox. Think about it. If Ethan saves Lily, she's no longer in danger. And if she's not in danger, she would have no reason to send him the message asking for help. But if she never sends the message, how did he know to save her in the first place? It's a contradiction that could just unravel everything. So this is the crucial question, right? How can Ethan possibly step in? How can he save the woman he loves without creating a paradox that makes the whole thing logically impossible? He has to figure out a way to break that loop. So Lily sends one last message with all the details, the intersection, the exact time, even the color of the car. It was just a simple, tragic traffic accident in her past, an event that was now just hours away in his present. He had all the information he needed. He had one shot. So he's at the intersection. He sees the car. At the perfect moment, he creates a tiny distraction,
He spills his coffee, lets out a shout, anything to make the driver hesitate for just 1 second. Another car flies past, missing Lily's by inches. For what feels like an eternity, his phone is silent. And then, it buzzes. He looks down. The message says, "You did it. The future just changed."
The relief must have been overwhelming. He actually did it. But then, the question hits him. Reality didn't collapse. No paradox happened. So, how is that possible? If you're not supposed to be able to change the past, what did he just do?
Well, there are two major theories that could explain this. First, there's something called the Novikov self-consistency principle. This basically says that the past is fixed. Ethan's innervation wasn't a change at all. It was always supposed to happen. He was destined to be there. He didn't change the past, he just fulfilled his role in it. But then there's a second, even more mind-bending idea, the many worlds interpretation.
This theory suggests that Ethan's action literally split reality in two. So in the original timeline that Lily sent the message from, she still dies. Her last act was to send for help. But by saving her, Ethan created a brand new branching timeline, a whole separate universe where she lives. He didn't rewrite history, he created a new one just for them. It's a pretty staggering thought, isn't it? That a single choice could literally create an entirely new world. Which brings us to a final question for you. If you could send one message to your past self, not to change your reality, but to create a new one, what would you say?